So you're wondering if you're autistic and what you should do next. And this is by far the most common question that I get from people. So this is going to be a quick reference to help you understand what that process looks like and how to avoid or navigate some common problems that people run into through the process. I am going to go through each step in a little more detail, but first I'm just going to go over it from a high level to help you understand what it looks like. So the first thing that you want to do is you want to take some self-assessments. There's some good ones on embraceautism.com. I will pin those down below so you can check those out. But after you've done that, I would suggest take a step back and try to figure out what your goal is. Like, what is the problem that you're trying to solve? And once you've thought through that a little bit, I would start working with your mental health care provider to come up with a plan and see what their thoughts are on the process. That said, I know that a number of people don't have a mental health care provider. So I will talk about that when I go into more detail in a little bit. The fourth step that I think is important to point out is the actual evaluation itself. That is not going to be performed by your therapist, your psychiatrist, whoever your healthcare provider is. That is going to be done by an outside organization that specializes and is licensed in autism evaluations. So that's the process in a nutshell. Now, going back to the beginning, like I said before, check out embraceautism.com and look at the self-assessments. In particular, look at the RADS-R, the CAT-Q, and the EQ. Those are not diagnostic tools, but they are going to give you a better sense of where you may or may not land on a spectrum or not on the spectrum. The other advantage is you're going to be able to use those to give to your mental health care provider, or if you do go for a professional diagnosis later on, you can use those to give to the evaluators as well. So once you've taken the self-assessments, this is where I think it's really important to take a step back and really evaluate what it is that you're trying to do, because it can save you a lot of time and money. Are you just looking to learn more about yourself? Good for you. Are you trying to address specific issues in your life or relationships? Are you comfortable with a self-evaluation, or do you want a professional evaluation? What is it that you're looking for with a professional evaluation? There is a lot that you can accomplish simply by recognizing what parts of autism you associate with and seeing how other people with similar struggles and strengths and characteristics are navigating life. Now, professional evaluations can be expensive and very time consuming. And at the time of posting this, from my understanding, they do not do a very good job of diagnosing women and people of color, basically anyone that is not a white man. Self-diagnosis is still a fair amount of work. It's not as simple as just watching a couple videos, answering a couple questions, and saying, I have autism. But if you've put in the work, I cannot express enough, it is a valid form of diagnosis. So working with your healthcare provider, and if you don't have one, I will talk about that in just a minute, but if you do, bring it up with them. Try to find out about their history with autism, find out if they have experience with autistic clients, find out if they're licensed or certified to be working with autistic clients, tell them that you associate with things that you have learned about autism, show them the self-assessments that you have done, and then tell them what your goal is, what you're trying to do, so they can help you make that plan of attack. And just a reminder, they are not the ones that are going to be doing the evaluation, but they should be able to help you find an organization that is going to do that. Now, one of the problems that is fairly common, especially if you made it into your 20s, 30s, 40s, is doctors saying something like, you couldn't be autistic because you're too good at speaking to people, you're too good at masking, you're too good at whatever coping mechanism you have developed over your lifetime. And this is where it is valuable to know what their experience is with autism, because ultimately doctors are supposed to be a resource for you. You should listen to them. You should hear their opinions. But at the end of the day, you are your biggest advocate. And what they're telling you should line up with your experience. So if they are dismissing your experience, it's probably time to find a new mental health care provider. And this is where it's also really important to remember that even though they are the expert, they are your employee. They are there to work with you. You can fire them at any moment, and it might be a good idea to look for a new doctor. You're not looking for a yes man, but you do need to have a doctor that's going to be in your corner. Which brings us around to, if you do not have a mental health care provider, or you have recently gotten rid of one, I do highly suggest finding a new one. You can Google it. I believe there are some lists on Psychology Today. There are some websites like BetterHelp, which have some risks, but it is going to be valuable. And what you want to look for is someone that has experience with adult autism. This can be a bit of a process. They can be booked out for months, and it can be very demoralizing at times. But I want to encourage you to find a way to keep pushing forward because it is worth it. Now, some people live in areas where they don't have access to professionals, or they might be fed up with the process, or whatever reason it may be that it's just not working for them. You can reach out to the evaluators on your own. That's what I did. All I did was Googled adult autism evaluation in my area, Denver, Colorado, and I found a list of organizations that do it, and I just started calling them directly. When you call them, just explain your situation, what you're looking to do. If they are good at what they do, they will not dismiss your concerns for being too good at masking. If they do, find someone else. My experience with the process was, after calling 5 places, all of them were booked out a year, as in a year to even begin the evaluation. But I did get lucky because I found out the place that I went to, they said a lot of people didn't finish the paperwork. There's a lot of it. And they said if I could get mine done in time, that I could get in early. And I managed to get in within 3 months. So it is going to be a bit of a slog, but try to be responsive and get the things done that they ask for, and ask if you can get in earlier. Now, the process itself, as of 2021, it was about $3,300 for me. But don't worry, Blue Cross Blue Shield covered $16 of it. And this is why I say it's important to try and figure out what your goals are, because it's expensive and it is time consuming. The process itself took about 3.5 months. It was a series of 4 to 5 meetings with me that were, again, anywhere from 5 to 8 hours in total. But they also wanted to meet with other people in my life, like my partner, my parents, my doctors. Now, I didn't want them to meet with my parents. So if you don't have these people in your life, or you don't want them to for any reason, talk to them. They will find a workaround to get the information they need. In my case, what I did was I just emailed my mom. I said, I'm working with my doctors and they want this information. Did I have developmental delays when I was a kid? Is there anything odd or quirky about me as a child that you think might be relevant to my mental health? You are probably going to run into problems. This is not a clean process. It can be very demoralizing. But if this is something that you want to find out, again, you are your biggest advocate. It is okay to take a break, but I highly encourage people to find a way to stay motivated and find a way to keep pushing forward. I know for me personally, this is something that I wanted. I know other people that I've spoken to that also wanted this, that the process was not easy, but they did push through. And when you get to the other end, it is worth it. It is worth having the answers. But again, keep your goals in mind. Do not feel pressured to go this route if this is not what you're looking for. I'll go ahead and post the links down below for the evaluation so you can check those out. I would appreciate it if people left comments below just telling me what their experience was like, potential pitfalls that they ran into, how they got around them, anything that would be helpful to future people that are going to be going through this process.